Hey guys, welcome back to The Wandering Wind, and if you've seen the title of this video, you'll know what I'm going to be talking about. Now, I want to talk about Minnesota, the protests, the riots, and my response. First of all, I want to let you all know that while I am pale and have no real stake in this battle, I still stand firm with you in this time. I too believe that Black lives matter just as much as white or brown or green or whatever you are, whatever you identify as, whatever you choose to be. Black lives are just as important and just as worthwhile, and we should not discount or discredit the lives of those that are fighting right now for equality 30, 40 years after Martin Luther King did pretty much the same thing. Actually, more than that, more like 50 to 60 years, I think. Still, for us to be revisiting this in 2020 and still having certain rights, certain aspects of the common black person's lives still being unequal compared to their paler counterparts is unconscionable and unsustainable. We need to act better. We need to treat each other with kindness and with respect. That being said, I am calling on all peaceful protesters to continue doing just that. Peacefully protest to make your voices heard. Do not incite violence. Do not encourage violence. Do not engage in violence. For your sake and the sake of those that you care about and their safety, please do not incite violence against other people or against law enforcement out of anger or aggression or aggressive thoughts or behaviors. This will not only undermine your own safety and that of those that you care about, but it undermines the important and essential message of what this movement is about. The idea that all men, no matter what their skin color, should be treated and cared for equally under the law. And if we do not approach this in the right fashion, if we do not approach this in the right manner and actually work towards making this a priority for our lawmakers and for our law enforcement to consider and then agree with, this will never change. And aggression and angry outbursts do nothing except make us look like tantrumy children. Let's be honest. When has throwing a tantrum ever gotten a child what they wanted, except when the parent is already exhausted and can do nothing about it except forgive in? Which is what happened with this officer, where they've finally been charged after only 3 days. But as far as I can recall, that's the fastest that any officer has really been charged in this kind of an incident. But just because you got the charges doesn't mean you're winning the war. The war is still going on, and you're losing because you're losing your temper and losing your moral high ground. If you don't lose your temper, if you keep your heads, you will win the day through peaceful action. But it starts today and it continues tomorrow. We need to remember that. We need to consider that. We need to, above all, continue to keep that in our heads. I am a white person. Yes, I will be looked at with prejudice, or not prejudice, but bias by people that say, what kind of a fight, what kind of a stake do you have in this? I've got a black sister, and her children are mixed race. So, I know personally people that are persecuted for their skin color. Maybe not overtly, but I know people that are treated differently, that are treated unequally, personally, just because of the way they look. I know, and I am friends with several Hispanic people that are also treated differently because of who and what they look like. So, at the end of the day, I do have a stake in this, and I do have a voice in this, and so do you. So, what can we take away from this? Remember, peaceful protest is the language of those who win. Yes, Martin Luther King said that he did say that riots are the language of those who are unheard, but he still spoke against that kind of thing because it rarely works in the way that you want it to. So please, peacefully protest. Remember the values that we're fighting for, and remember to reach out to the communities that care enough to help you. Remember that, please. Above all, stay safe, all right? I don't want to see any of the people that I care about rushing off into danger because they feel like they have to fight too. If you don't have to fight on the front lines in these groups of people, don't. Seriously, don't. Not only are we going to probably get around to COVID from this because people are either not wearing masks or not keeping their distance, but we're also going to see a lot more people hurt and possibly killed in these instances because of the still disproportionate responses from law enforcement. Let's be fair. That's all I wanted to say. I know I'm going to get hate for this video, but it needed to be said, and I wanted to say it now. Have a good night. Have a safe night. Take care of yourselves.